What's up, my digestible little dewberries? This is Rob from Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be taking a look at my Umbral Feast build for Grendel and discussing whether he is a BOP or a BellyFLOP. In addition to that, we'll also be taking a look at a little teensy tiny bit of fashion towards the very end. It's not a full-on dress to kill, and you'll hear all of my reasonings why. Now, if you are curious as to how to procure him or want a detailed rundown of his abilities, I'll actually go ahead and leave a link up in the top corner as well as down in the description box below, because this is more gonna be along the lines of a discussion and the build. So let's go ahead and jump on in. I'll show you how this thing performs. Now, as many of you guys know, I don't necessarily hold Grendel to very high esteem. I feel like he's a little bit of a meme frame, and I don't really enjoy memes all that much. However, if we take a look at how he performs, with this build, I mean, I've got several 165 bombards here, right? I'm not blocking anything. I actually haven't even used Nourish yet, but as you can see, I can go ahead and nourish myself and get all of that health that I just lost right back. And if I really, really wanted to, I could also go ahead and just suck these guys up too. I'm like, listen, you're being too much trouble. Go ahead and knock that guy out right there. And you can see that he's able to really kind of like, number one, soak up the damage, CC enemies by consuming them, right? And then he can go ahead and strip enemies of armor. Like, what more could we possibly ask for, right? Like, this should be glorious, but for a reason or another, I just am not necessarily 100% feeling it. We also kind of have a little bit more of an additional CC when we get towards pulverizing enemies, so you can go ahead and kind of like suck all of these enemies up and really just start, you know, pulverizing them, basically. And just dealing damage to them while they're held helplessly in your tummy. You can even nourish them now to get a little bit more run speed, just in case you wanted to do that. And 8 enemies in your stomach doesn't really seem to consume too much energy per second, especially when you've got like all of your, what is it called? Especially when you've got like primed flow in there. So all in all, like, if we're looking at it objectively, he's got CC, he's got survivability, technically he's got damage, so this should be a win, right? He's even got different types of group buffs. But for some reason, I don't know, I just can't really find the connection. But I want you guys to chime in and let me know how you guys feel about playing Grendel. Overall, Feast is a really, really cool ability. It's basically like Hydroid's Puddle, but it's in your stomach. Now, the cool thing about Feast is you can actually like, what's the word I want to use? Puke enemies out, because I can't use the word regurgitate because it's a different ability. But you can puke out everything in your belly, and then you have them in a fairly contained area. You can even kind of like butt yourself up against the wall and puke them out right in front of you. So number one, they're already stripped of armor most of the time, depending on what your build is set up. Like, you can do ground finishers on them. You can do all kinds of like things to like take advantage of the fact that you just puke them out. Also, for those people who are like super dependent on vacuum to live, puking them out basically usually like expels all of them. Most of the time, I've found, basically ends up killing them on the spot, and then you can kind of gather up all of that loot there, or even as you're pulverizing enemies when they're inside of you, you can kind of bounce up and down to deal that area of effect damage that comes with pulverize, and when they expire, basically you just get all of the loot that comes from them, right? So that's like built-in vacuum at the same time, which a lot of people love. I don't really, I'm not really too fond of it. I think the only thing that is kind of like I look at it and I'm kind of like, Nourish, like the buffs aren't really all that exciting. However, energy multiplier is quite nice because it does give you a little bit of a buff to how much energy you regain back. So as an avid arcane energized user, pairs up perfectly with Prime Flow, right? Especially because of the fact that you can puke enemies out in your general area, and you can pick up the orbs from there. The only thing that I don't think is all that great is the nourished armor is like, it's not really armor, is it? It's just you basically relieving yourself with a cloud of toxin. I was gonna call it a gas cloud, but we have an element called a gas. So for me, all in all, I'm just kind of like, even the Nourish Strike is just basically a toxin buff. So I don't know, I just feel like that's a little bit not exciting. Regurgitate is basically you puke an enemy out and they deal radial damage. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build real quick and have a chat about that. because again, maybe I'm missing something that makes him more exciting to the rest of you guys. But as you can see, I've gone in for full defense because I don't really think that his buffs are all that interesting. The only thing that I could be like swayed into is maybe a little bit more range added into this, but I did go with Umbral Intensify and Umbral Vitality. I believe that increased power strength helps you strip off more of the enemy's armor per second when they are nourished inside your stomach, and I'm like, that's definitely handy. The buffs are also a nice little addition. Of course, I could chuck Adaptation, but I like the fact that you just can't kill him. I think that's the one thing that I hold in high regard. I'm like, oh, well, he's really, really tough to kill. And listen, as long as you've got something in your stomach, you can replenish your health manually. Boom, easy peasy. I could even argue dropping an Arcane Energize and maybe putting another offensive Arcane in there, or maybe even a more defensive Arcane to make him even tougher to kill. But overall, I just sat here and looked at the build and I was like, is there really anything else to him rather than running amok? In fact, what I want to go ahead and do is take him on a bit of a mission, because I did have some people asking me whether, you know, how he performed in a mission. And it's something that's been requested a lot of me lately, is to like kind of get out of the simulacrum. But one of the things that I don't know, I kind of want to put out there into the universe is I don't feel that standard gameplay for Warframe is really all that interesting. I mean, really, to me, where things get very interesting is, let's say, if we are like, if we've ranked up our Lich to level 5 and we do survival with that, like that could be a little bit more exciting. But in general, I feel like the standard gameplay for the star chart just isn't. I don't know, let me know down in the comments below exactly how you feel about that statement. I'm sure that a lot of people just kind of want some visuals to some of the things that I'm saying when it comes to taking on enemies. But, you know, at the end of the day, for me, it's kind of like, I don't know, I can kind of see it in my head already. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't find it all that, you know, exciting. This is basically how I play him, by the way. For those of you guys who are wondering, I will just run around in a ball, and I will just kind of like smush enemies. And like I was saying, whenever you kill something that's inside of you, they expire. So if you do need energy, it kind of gets consumed in there. And really, this is basically it, you guys. This is all of the, you know, advanced techniques that you get with Grendel. And maybe it's because of the fact that Grendel is kind of simple that I don't find him so exciting, if you know what I mean. So part of me is just a little bit like, I don't know, maybe we're all on the same page and we all feel the same way. Because I haven't really seen anybody kind of like running around and, you know, singing the praises of Grendel, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But yeah, so this is the exciting gameplay that you guys have been asking, you know, asking me for when it comes to like displaying how you end up playing with him. In defense missions, maybe it's a little bit different, where you just, literally defense missions, it's the same shit that I do too. I just basically suck enemies up, I roll around, and then we call it a freaking day, right? There's really nothing more to show beyond this. Maybe the only challenge is getting to extraction in full wall mode. Like, that's definitely a challenge that I've taken on in my time. But beyond that, I feel like this is basically the type of gameplay that you see from Grendel. I don't know if there's maybe something more advanced that I'm not really catching. I think that if there is something more advanced, it would probably be really pulling strings to call it advanced. But I don't know, let me know down in the comments below how you feel, whether you accept this meme as really, you know, top tier, or if you feel like this is the living embodiment of a meme. This is as interesting as it gets. After the first little bit of gameplay, it's just kind of like, meh. Okay, so legitimately, I went ahead and cut that mission short because I got really, really bored. In addition to that, there was that kind of bug, and I don't know if you guys have been experiencing this too, but sometimes on Grendel's Pulverize, he gets stuck in ball mode, and he can't, like, jump, and he can't exit ball mode. So you just kind of have to sit and wait there until you kill all the enemies in your stomach, and then all of your energy drains. And that's definitely happened to me several times, actually, when I was leveling up and in that mission right then and there. So, in all honesty, I was like, meh. I don't know. Now, when it comes down to fashion frame, I'm actually going to leave the color codes for this down in the description box below, but not these other two looks that I'm going to show you, because if I'm going to be completely honest, I've just been extremely uninspired by Grendel. That's why you didn't see, you know, a Dress to Kill video come up for him sooner, is because I've been playing around with looks, and I'm like, well, there's only really one way you can kind of customize him that I think is appealing to my eyes, and that's having a really dark tertiary. It can be this, it can be black. I do not like this as like a crazy bright color. I think it just looks very, very strange. I think it needs to be dark. The primary has to be slightly lighter than the tertiary, and then the secondary and the accents are both metallics. So all you can really do is like vary up the metallics. So all in all, I don't really like his color mapping either, which is a bit of a loss for me. Then, if we're going to take a look at this, I've been playing around with different armors on him, and the only armor that I really like is the Kuvalich armor. Everything else is kind of weird, misshapen. The only other thing that I would say kind of looks alright is the Wolf of Saturn 6 armor on him. That one kind of fits his body shape, but beyond that, even there, I have to kind of remark on the fact that the Wolf of Saturn 6 shoulders are a little bit placed oddly. Like, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's kind of like a little bit of a gap up front, but there's not as much of a gap on the back. So I'm almost kind of like, you need to rotate it just a little bit more. So even that kind of bothers me. Even down to things like, what do you call this? The Ito Prime shoulder plates. I feel like it's a little bit too sunk into the shoulders. So all in all, I haven't been having a great time fashion framing him either. Like I said, the only thing I really like is the Kuva chest piece and the Kuva shoulders, which, as you guys know, are all attached to that basically $40, what do you call this, Kuva something or other bundle. So a part of me is just kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about all that. So me personally, I'm just kind of like meh on him, and even when it comes down to SANDR, I know this is like a big bummer day. I feel really bad because I feel like this is just like a downer of a video, but legitimately the Surator Sayandana is probably one of the few Sayandanas that I like on him. I don't even like the Sumba Sayandana. It reminds me of an upside down pineapple, and I still can't let go of it. I'm so sorry. Surator is the only one that I enjoy. I don't even like my Ephysium Sayandana. It looks like really, really small on him, and I think it's just because of the fact that his proportions are a tad bit different. The only thing that I would throw your way is maybe the Mushu, because, you know, I almost think of it as kind of like he's Sonic and he's got these blades on his back. Same thing goes for the Vistris, is it just looks like, you know, a little blade on his back. But beyond that, I don't know. I'm just a little bit disgruntled about this Grendel. You know what I'm saying? Let me know how you feel about Grendel down in the comments below, if you kind of share the exact same feels that I do, or maybe I'm missing something. Let me know if there is something that you're not reaching for, because some of y'all really try to reach for some shit and try to sell me on something that I don't even think anybody would give a shit about. Just putting that out there into the universe. So all in all, Grendel works. He does all the things that we need him to do, but for some reason, he's just not a hit for me. Share all your feelings down in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo belly. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!